All right. We are here for a Tuesday. Let's see if we can get the screen and all, and we will get things going. Howard Westcott says 5x5 already. That's funny because I can't even see my screen yet. So, ta 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 ta. It should be coming sometime eventually, maybe today. There we go. Hey, what do you know? I can see me. All right. So Cooks, hearsay, respect. 5x5. Okay. I must have shrunk. Pennsylvania Mama Bear, Ozark Prepper, Fastball, Cannon Quaid. Good deal. All right. Happy Tuesday, guys. It's the first time we've all got together since last Wednesday's tragic event, uh, which I don't know how y'all reacted to it, but I pretty much was a zombie until maybe yesterday. I kind of started coming out of it a little bit. Uh, it's we all got to move forward. It's as I don't even know how to put it. I mean, horrendous. There isn't an adjective I can use that's would describe what we went through. God knows what Eric is going through, and I mean, I've talked about it in videos. A few of you said that my videos were a little more polite. I don't think it's necessarily polite, the word that you're looking for. I think it's solemn. Uh, that's kind of where I've been. It's I finally was able to think about other stuff today, if you will. I mean, I mentioned in one video I watched the close up of the assassination. I can't get that clip out of my head. It's just like it's playing on a loop. And yeah, uh, not what you want to see. And as I said too, it's like I never want to have to be in a situation where there's another human being in front of me. If it ever happens and I have to, if it's defending myself or Mrs. P or PBJ or even the dogs or any of my friends or neighbors or anything like that, I won't have any second thoughts about it. Just because I know I can do it doesn't mean I want to. Okay. You know, there's the difference. You got lunatics on both sides screaming, "We need to go to war." No, we don't. It's all these people that are saying that have no idea what they're talking about. So now we're starting to see the aftermath. And fortunately, with Charlie's assassin, they charged him with first degree murder. That penalty is being brought up. This is on the state level. We haven't even got to the point that the feds are going to charge him too. Uh, you know, I don't care if they execute him in Utah or if they do it in Indianapolis. I don't really care. This kid doesn't have. I, I don't want him breathing the same air I am. And again, we go into the same thing that we talked about a week or so ago, or almost, and people said, "Oh, you got to forgive." And as I've said in many of the comments, forgiveness also requires penance, and this kid is not penitent, whatever. So, as Special Forces puts it, kill them all, let God sort them out. I'm good with that. Okay. On the flip side, you had Luigi Mangione, the guy who killed the United Healthcare CEO. That was an assassination as well. But of course, you have the good old liberal New York, which decided to pull the terrorism charges. Okay, that one was a little bit of a stretch. But they pulled first degree murder too. And so now the best the state can get him on is second degree murder, which means there's potential that he could do, I don't know, 25 years and eventually get out. And this goes back to another video where we had all the conversations about whether or not felons should be allowed to own guns. And I listen to both sides, you guys, and I've made my point. Granted, depending on what the felony is, I've said my entire life that should be on a case by case basis. I don't like the blanket that, gee, once you've been convicted of a felony, you can never own a firearm again. I don't think that's correct. But on the other side, where everybody says once you've done your time, you should be able to. I'm sorry if Luigi Mangione gets 25 years and is paroled, or the Menendez brothers get paroled, and I mean they're already having parole hearings for them. I don't want them. I don't want to. I don't want to hand them a weapon. Now, not that it's that difficult in the United States to buy a gun without doing it legally. Uh, but I'm not. I don't have any intentions of making it even easier. Let's just put it that way. Do I like the fact every time I go buy something, I got to fill out the damn paperwork and everything like that? No. I mean, it takes me 3 minutes to fill it out. It's not a big deal. But at least there's something. No, I do not believe in registration of guns or anything like that. I mean, and I know when you get into this topic, we don't even have to go to the liberals who say nobody should own them. We get onto the conservative side, and our beliefs are all in different things. What I'm just saying is my belief. If you disagree with me, that's cool. Maybe you'll change my mind on something. I don't know. Uh, but yeah, I don't want to see the Menendez brothers or Mangione or anything like that ever being legally allowed to own a gun. You know, like I said, doesn't mean you can't go on Facebook and find somebody who's selling something or wherever else. So yeah, that was it. And for the record, I am a firm believer in capital punishment. I always love the people who come up to me and say, "How can you be anti-abortion and pro-capital punishment?" And I'm like, "Well, if you think for a second, I'm against killing the innocent, but I'm okay with killing the guilty. Where's the problem?" You know, it's the ones that are the other way around that I don't get. Here's a little baby who's done nothing. Let's kill the baby. But no, this guy who, murdered a family, no, we need to keep him alive. Again, leftist mentality I will never understand. But hey, it is what it is. So, all right, there's my comments for tonight. Feel free to crucify me now. Let's get into some Q&A. I figure we're going to be all over the place tonight, so this will be interesting. As per normal, if you've got questions for me, please put them in all caps. Just makes it easier for me to find them in the chat room. We move along a little quicker that way. Only rule, which has never changed, everybody needs to treat everybody in the chat room and me politely. I don't mind disagreement of opinion. I've never had a problem with that. When you're rude, that's it. And that goes as well, and it does in the comment section too, for people that start to be, how do I want to put this? Ethnically insensitive. Okay. We're just going to kind of leave it at that. You figure it out there. All right. So, all right, let's get to the top here and see what's on y'all's mind. There's all the 5x5s. I will give you this. I know we haven't had a giveaway here in a few weeks. We're going to have a couple coming up in the next few. I've got boxes sitting here in my living room that I'm just waiting for the go ahead to be able to show you guys some stuff. So there is at least 2 coming, probably at least 3 that I know of, but 2 that are already here. So we'll have some fun with some stuff there. Something that's brand new that you guys have never seen before too. It'll be cool. All It's looking for questions. Do to do do to do do to do do to do do do. Carmen Walden, how's the garden shutdown doing? Uh, yeah. We were after last Tuesday was the last day we did anything until today. Uh, I mean, I've just had my nose pretty much glued to a computer. I've had some other things to take care of that had to be done, but uh, we completely took out our strawberry patch, moved all those rocks, did something different with those, got out and mowed today. Of course, this is the fun part. It hasn't rained here in probably 3 weeks. I decided today's the day I'm going to go out and mow because it hasn't really grown, but it was high enough now that I had to mow it. So of course I get through about 2/3 of the yard and the heavens open up. All right, I'll put everything away. It rained for a half an hour, and now I got to wait till tomorrow because the backyard is kind of hilly, and I'm not going to play going up and down hills on wet grass. So that's dangerous. But yeah, now it's not supposed to rain for the rest of the month. So go figure. The one day that I picked to go do it, it rains. Uh, but yeah, the only thing we have left in the garden that is producing vegetables wise is the peppers, and that will probably be picking peppers through at least Halloween. I mean, those will last until we get a freeze. I do have to go pick my muscadines. Uh, God, I've got so many muscadines. I mean, I will probably pick 10 to 15 gallons worth of muscadines. So that'll be interesting there, what we do with it, because I've still got a whole lot of muscadine wine left from last year. So I probably don't need to make any more of that. You know, I've never tried making muscadine jam. So who knows? Maybe we'll try that this year. But uh, we'll see. If anybody's got a good muscadine storage recipe or something like that, let me know. Let's see. Prep Rebel. Trust me, nobody wants to have to see that. I'm assuming we're talking about something. We guys were talking about Halloween costumes before, so I don't know. Beef and chicken. It reminded me of Sandy Hook. That was a Friday. Don't think I showered all weekend. Just at the house with tears in my eyes. Same with this. I was living up in New Hampshire when Sandy Hook happened. I remember that. And that was, yeah, about the only similarity that I will say with Sandy Hook, because remember, Sandy Hook was a school and kids and everything like that. The only similarity that I can see, if I remember, is Sandy Hook had a boatload of conspiracy theories out there. And it's no different than the Charlie Kirk deal. Oh, this was all predicted. There were books out on Amazon the day before. No, that wasn't true. Oh, it couldn't have been this kid because he didn't have the gun when he jumped off the building. Oh, that isn't true. There's a whole bunch of people that are out there peddling conspiracies and guessing and trying to play it off as, you know, breaking news or something like that. And, you know, again, this is one of those where it drives me nuts when people try to be first rather than be right. And it's hard enough being right. You know, I mean, very rarely am I the one to find something before anybody else does because obviously, unless it happens right in my backyard, I'm getting it from a source somewhere. Uh, but yeah, I mean, I remember all the conspiracy theories about Sandy Hook, and now we get all the conspiracy theories about Charlie Kirk. And, you know, I know the line, you know, what's the difference between conspiracy theory and the truth? About 6 months. Sure. Okay. Some of them come true, but the way it is now with social media, it's like throwing darts at the stock page in the newspaper trying to pick what you want to buy next because they're like, well, I'm going to say a whole bunch of shit. If something comes true, then I'll look like a genius. It's like, okay, that's like Chicken Little and the sky is falling, you know, or the guy on the street corner with the sandwich board saying the end of the world is near. yeah, eventually it's gonna happen. One day you'll be right, but every other day you're wrong. That's what I look at. Uh, Jay Boo, light has no place in the darkness. Yeah. I don't wanna live in the darkness. That's the thing. And the last few days have been pretty dark for a lot of people. And eventually you gotta poke your head, get back into the light. It's no different than everybody wanting you to be afraid. Oh, they're gonna go after everybody. I'm not living my life like that. Okay. God knows exactly when, down to the second, he's gonna call me home. I don't know when, but I'm going to use as many of the minutes I have left to be happy and productive as possible. And I if you live cowering in fear, that's not living, and that's that's kind of my point where I agree with you on light has no place in the darkness. We can't live in the darkness. We need to live in the light. Cockroaches live in the darkness, and I told you about needing an exterminator yesterday. Uh Next is, do I know that scientists combined elephant cells? Do I know what they called it? Oh, if I know. Sometimes I need to read these questions before I actually read them out loud. Oh, next exit. Okay. Let's rolling on down. Okay. Vicky Savage. Speaking of Vicky, it does not look like there are any chestnuts on the trees. When I was mowing today, I looked up in the trees. There's no chestnuts. So thought I'd tell you that. Given clubs, they can fight it out in the Coliseum. Okay, give them clubs. I think they can fight it out in the Coliseum on pay-per-view. As sick as it sounds, I I kind of think that Charlie Kirk's assassin, if the government did it as a pay-per-view event, they'd probably raise a shitload of money. Uh, not because not because there's people out there that want gruesome. I mean, I don't. Most of you guys are old enough to remember this. Do you remember? God, this has got to be probably made in the late '70s, early '80s. I think there were two movies made called Faces of Death. If you saw those, and they were, it was a movie. It was, not like a drama or something like that. It was a movie, hour and a half or whatever, of clips of people actually dying, whether it was guillotine or hanging or chainsaw or falling off a cliff or whatever, motorcycle accident, stuff like that. I'm not saying that people want to see this because of the gore to it. I think people need closure. And it's different when somebody you've never heard of murders somebody that you've never heard of. And okay, fine, the family's allowed to go in. This time, we're talking about somebody that we never heard of murdered somebody who pretty much everybody's heard of. And I don't know. Uh, but but somehow it needs to be more than at 6 p.m. last night, so and so was executed, and that's it. And that's a story that doesn't hit home until you get a video of it, and all these kids are going, I'm going to go shoot up a school, and then you show that and go, if that's what's waiting for me, no. Just a thought. Okay? I'm not. Yeah, just a thought. We'll leave it at that. Prep me, an eye for an eye. I agree. I've always said that too. I mean, to a point, you know, you get a guy who rapes a woman, we're not going to have somebody rape him. Okay. That's where you go, oh, you know what? Castration with an electric knife sounds good. Uh, but yeah, it's got to be something comparable. None of this. I mean, the thing that drives me nuts, especially when we're talking about capital punishment, is all these people are going, "Oh, it's so he suffered when he was, he you can see he was breathing hard or whatever." I'm thinking to myself, yeah, the guy, or the girl that was handcuffed behind their back and blindfolded with a gun to their head, they weren't terrified, not knowing when it was, don't give me this crap of it's you know, it's cruel and unusual. No, the way they killed their victim wasn't exactly friendly and cordial. Fox Any. Oh boy, just saw that Victor Marks will announce on October 1st he will run for governor of Colorado. Look him up if you don't know the name. I don't know who Victor Marks is, but was it Jared Polis who's the governor now? Uh, Sorry, it's hard to remember so many different names. But yeah, I know Colorado is a train wreck at the moment. But there's a reason Colorado's a train wreck. It's because so many people from California moved there. That's it. Let's see. At least around, was it Denver and was it Colorado Springs? Pretty much everywhere else in Colorado is pretty red. But like any other state, it's like the cities destroy it for the rest of the residents. Okay. Crochet, you gotta love it. Pinball, have you ever grown hops? No, I have not. If yes, how did you use them? I've started using them in kombucha, and it's delicious. It removes the tart taste, and kombucha tastes like a beer. Yummy. Uh, no, I've never grown it. See, I've got large gardens. I mean, I got 2,200 square feet. We're going to put another garden in. So I'll probably be up somewhere around 3,000 square feet of garden. That's great. It gets me a lot of food. Okay. I usually can bring in 1,000 pounds of food a year. Uh, but I'm guessing if you're growing hops, which for all intents and purposes is another grain crop, you must have a field of some sort. It's no different than everybody who's, growing wheat or something like that. That's great if you can. Most people don't have that ability. And I mean, I certainly do not want to be the one. I mean, hops not as hard to pick by hand, but I certainly don't want to be picking wheat by hand. So then you get into, oh, gee, I need to have a tractor. Okay, well, you got a tractor, but then you get into a fuel issue. And even though there's alternative fuel means, they aren't practical for most people. I mean, for some people, certainly. Okay. I don't have the acreage, if you will, to grow grain crops. So, hence, like most people, what I store is wheat berries. And because those won't go bad on you as long as you store them properly. And you can have yourself an ample supply of flour. Hops aren't necessarily something that is any sort of priority of me to uh, to grow as much as certainly don't mind having a beer. We're celebrating Colorado tonight. That's celebrating, but that's the state of beer. Uh, Alcohol will certainly be something that is needed in an SHTF event, and between what I've got set up where I can make wines and having the still so I can at least make moonshine. Uh, I would have something to partake in or barter with. Uh, that's it. Are there going to be people out there, like you said, can make kombucha, can make beers or something like that? Sure. It's just I don't have the. I'm not going to use my limited space to grow a luxury rather than a necessity. Food is more important. Dressmaker Kathy, how's bowling going? I am not bowling this fall. We had two of our team members who one just literally wore his arm out, and the other one had got put on night shift every other Monday, so that didn't happen. So we had to find two other people. We were going to bowl. We had found two other people, and then it turned out, from what we can tell, is the game was rigged. The schedules were rigged, and we had a meeting beforehand and talked to the team, and we looked at this sort of stuff, and we're like, something stinks here. And so the team decided that we were not. The new team decided we were not going to bowl. So no bowling this year. Right. Now we're going to shoot to the bottom. So now we got to go back up to the top. I just don't mess everything up there. All right. Let me figure out where I was. Hang on. Okay. Rex Shaw, do I have a remedy for getting rid of bagworms? Nope. Don't have the problem. Don't have any idea what to do with them. Robert, you want to see me in a Lollipop Guild costume? Good luck. Okay. Nothing like that is ever going to happen. I'm not going to dress in drag. I am not going to be a furry. I am not going to wear a Lollipop Guild costume. Nothing of the sort. Okay. So don't worry. That's not happening. Larry, which would you say is more adventurous? Listening to Herb Albert, the Tijuana Brass nonstop for 8 hours, or watching Attack of the Killer Tomatoes for 8 hours nonstop? Uh, there's a question for you. I'd have to say watching Attack of the Killer Tomatoes is more torturous. I mean, that movie goes down in history along with Napoleon Dynamite as some of the worst ever made. I could I could stomach listening to Mexican music for 8 hours if I had to. Just give me a lot of Coronas. Dale from Ohio. A few live streams ago, you mentioned that you thought Paul Volcker was the worst Fed president ever. I always heard the opinion that Arthur Burns was the worst. Where does Powell fit? Uh, Powell's pretty much right there with Paul Volcker. Uh, yeah, I mean, Powell's a disaster. He obviously knows nothing about statistics or actuarial science. So we have that issue. It's like, oh, but you know, the Fed's job is not to look in the rearview mirror. The Fed's job is to look forward, and Powell can't look forward. It does not register in his brain. He wants to go after old numbers, not figuring out what's going to happen going forward. And like I said, him trying to figure out probability or actuarial science or anything like that, he doesn't understand it. Powell's an idiot. Uh, I mean, he it's hard to make Paul Volcker look good, but Powell's trying real hard. Just smile, pinball. You don't find it interesting how much people posting online showing who they are? Oh, I do. I think it's really really humorous. Now you got to remember, there's some people out there. You find it a lot more on Twitter. The rage posters, the ones that are they'll post the nastiest thing they can think of because the craft teams are perfect for something like that. I mean, I I honestly cannot believe anybody is as stupid as they are. So the only thing I can think that they do is they just rage post so they get a lot of clicks on their posts so they make money. That's the only thing I can think of. And there's a percentage of all social media, whether it's Facebook, whether it's YouTube, whatever, who do that. And those people usually, most of them don't last long because they're one trick ponies. They're going to bitch and moan about something. And then when it's over, nobody cares anymore. They're very focused. Uh, what I do find really interesting is all these people. I mean, and I mean it's amazing. I mean, if you guys have seen this, how many clips there are out there, or Facebook posts, or whatever, glorifying the assassination of Charlie Kirk. And I'm going, where in your brain did it go, you know what? This is a really good idea. Let me get out there and publicly say I'm pro murder. And I mean, there's thousands of these. And I'm like, then you listen to all this whining. It's like, I lost my job. They're not supposed to look at my private Instagram page. It's like, no, dumbass. You put it on social media. That's public. Okay. If you wanted it private, you could have set it to private. But no, you wanted the clicks to show how uber liberal you were. And now you're paying for it. But I get a kick out of it. All the people that are bitching about losing their job because of, but my free speech. You had no problem with Charlie Kirk losing his life over his free speech. And 5 years ago, most of them wanted all of us put in jail because we disagreed with something, this thing, you know. They wanted to, you know, be happy that all you're doing is losing your job because you wanted us jailed and Charlie's dead. You're getting off easy. I'm just going to say, but how stupid these people are to go out and glorify a murder. I mean, no, okay. As much as I can't stand Barack Obama, as much as I can't stand Joe Biden or Nancy Pelosi or Adam Schiff or pick one of the morons, never have I said, gee, we need to unalive them. No, because as much as I despise people like that, okay, I'm I'm sorry. I'm not, thou shalt not murder. Okay. That's you know, most of us have broken most of the 10 commandments. That's one that I'm gonna make sure that I don't. So thou shalt not kill. All right. Krista Katz, have I ever pupped my peppers to bed? Okay, I gotta check what you write. Yeah, that makes no sense. Pup my peppers to bed. Don't know what you're talking about. Robert Muscadine Jelly, I mentioned that. Yep. Wendy Reed, why take out my strawberries? Uh, because the bed got completely overrun with weeds. Uh, was the hard part. And see, the deal is there's nothing you can really put in a strawberry bed to keep weeds out because if you use any sort of either chemical or organic weed killer, you're going to kill the strawberries too. All right. So that winds up an issue. The other part is we want to move the bed from where it is because it just turned out it was in an awkward spot in the yard and so we want to move it. So it's not that big deal to let grass grow there and move somewhere else. Stuff you need to know here for the extra wine. Yeah, it all goes in the wine rack, and it just will age until I need it for SHTF. I haven't cracked one of those bottles in months. So, Kia Chris will turn it into wine. Will it store? Yeah, wine. I mean, it's a 1936 Rothschild. Yeah, wine store is great. Uh, so as long as it's sealed up well. I mean, I've been a few months since I opened one, but I mean, the stuff we got now is already a year old. And when Mrs. P and I opened up a bottle, God, what was that? There's a reason for it. I don't remember what it was, but we were just sitting on the porch having a glass of wine one night, and I was like, yep, still good. So, B. Gatlin, sounds like I need to drink more muscadine wine. Wish I was your neighbor. I really like it. I may make more, I probably will make some more. The ones I made last year are very, very dry because we harvested the muscadines probably before they were completely black, before they were totally ripe. They were still that maroon color. And so it made for a very dry wine. And so I've let them go a lot longer this year. And I mean, now they're black. So I may try a small batch just to see if I get some sweet wine out of this one. Back to basics. Diane says muscadine jelly is good. Okay. Thank you for telling me that. That's one I've never made. So we'll probably make muscadine jelly then. Okay. I've still got so much jelly and jams from last year. Oh my, I mean, we don't eat that much of it, but I mean, like I said, I got plum jam, pear jam, peach jam, uh, what the hell is it? Strawberry jam, blueberry jam. It's like I've probably got 50 pints of jam. I mean, I've got enough jam in the last 10 years. We don't eat it that much. It's like, okay, now what are we going to do with it all? So we just keep stocking it up. And like Mrs. B says, we'll give it out as Christmas presents, to neighbors and stuff. Paula McGuire, other things to make with jalapenos besides pickling them. Well, when I get jalapenos, one of the things I do with them is I make my chili and canned chili. So whether or not it, and again, it depends on the canners. I mean, some people are ingredients canners, some people are meal canners. Uh, I like to make 10 gallons of chili each year with tomatoes and peppers and everything I have, and then I can all that up, and I've got chili to last us for the rest of the year. So we're good there. Uh, what I have done, if you got it, this worked out really well for us, is I dehydrated the jalapenos and then ran it through a blender and literally made put it in an old spice jar. And so now I have like dried pepper flakes, jalapeno flakes, which are great when you want to add a little bit of that into ground beef or a meatloaf or hamburgers or something like that. Put on top of a brisket, where you want to put a little kick in their soup. Uh, that's something that I like using. The other thing that's really good for is self defense. You can dried jalapeno and throw some of that in somebody's face. Trust me, they're down for the count. Uh, so you got that option as well. But yeah, I mean, peppers, there's not a whole lot of recipes for. It's pretty much canning them in something. But, uh, you know, we like pickled jalapenos, and I put it in my chili, and then I dry it. That's pretty much what we do with them. Von Mousetrap, Mr. P, negativity spreads faster than positivity, but positivity lasts longer. Be the change. We will do good. Yes, I agree with you. Okay. The issue that you get there is Are you, and I'll just ask this question. Are you preparing because you expect good times to be ahead? No. Okay. I mean, there's the thing. There, you got to find positivity in life. There is no question about it. You've got to find the good things in life. Otherwise, you're going to drive yourself literally crazy. But you can't walk around with colored glasses and think everything's hunky dory because it's not. You've got to be realistic. It's like, all right, this could happen, so I'm going to take care of it. But if it doesn't happen, this is what I'm going to do. So, you've got one path with two different branches on it. You know, if everything goes really good, cool. I got a whole bunch of extra food that will just rotate. If everything goes to shit, then you go, cool. I got a whole bunch of extra food. And we're not going to starve to death. So, and there's too many people out there that try to live on one path or the other. And if you try to live only on one of them, you're setting yourself up for failure. Uh, Don means two pop ups in the first 13 minutes. Is that when you say pop ups, are they stopping the video and putting ads in or something like that? Because I, I don't see it. Uh, Again, I got no control over ads or anything like that. But I mean, I'm watching the video here, because I want to make sure we don't get the little circle. And I know it's like 20-second delay, but I can see that. I don't see if there's ads. Are these pop-ups coming up on the video, or are they coming up in the chat room, or what? Or is it just a banner ad? That I don't know. If it's a banner ad or if it's in the chat room or something, okay, no big deal. But if they're stopping the live stream, that's bullshit. Uh, Seriously, no smile. No one smiles or laughs anymore. Just saying. Yeah, and it's funny because I see this all the time when I'm cruising around Twitter. People ask questions like, do you put the cart away in the grocery store parking lot, or do you just leave it there? Do you hold the door open for somebody? I was at the dump yesterday, for convenience center where they've got all the dumpsters for the town, and we have to take our trash to the dumpster. Okay, uh, you know, run by the town or whatever it is, a big trash compactor, and you put all your stuff in there and do it. And there was a guy that pulled in behind me, and he had a trailer, and it looked like they were either moving in or moving out, and he had mattresses and box springs on there, and I just walked over. And I'm like, "Do you need some help?" I didn't care. It'd take me a couple of minutes to help the guy out. It's not like my schedule is that busy. Oh my God, I don't have 10 minutes to help somebody out. And he said, no, he had it, that there was another, and then by then there was another guy that got out of the car, so they had it taken care of. But, trying to lift a mattress or a box spring to a dumpster that's 10 feet high, is not exactly easy, but they had it taken care of. But I'm like, how many people do you see anymore? Exactly what Circe is saying, who, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, excuse me, please and thank you. I mean, the common courtesy is almost dead. And, when you say please or thank you to somebody, because I'll watch when I do, because I try to be polite, uh, especially with a store clerk, I'll joke with them or, I mean, usually my height is a good icebreaker. Uh, but, just to make their day for 15 seconds, put a smile on their face or whatever, just make a joke or something. And, it makes me feel good too, because people are just miserable. The waitresses or store clerks or, the checkout people at the grocery store. And it drives me nuts because it's not that difficult to be polite and it's not that difficult to be nice. It's like watching somebody pull into a handicap parking spot and run into the store. Like, you better be pulling somebody out of there who's hurt, you know, because I'm sorry if you're in a hurry to get home and the wife called you for a gallon of milk. That's not an excuse. It, just the lack of common courtesy anymore. I, I think that's kind of more where you're going to. At least that's what I see. You know, and it it's not as bad here where I am than it is when I go into the city. Uh, Prep Rebel, fear has two sides: forget everything and run, or face everything and rise. There you go. Yeah, you're right. I much prefer the second one. NT, would I put any money in a CD now? If so, what time frame would be acceptable to you? Now you're going to make me go look at this because I haven't looked at CDs in a while. Let me see what the yield curve looks like. This is going to take me a second, so bear with me. See where I want to go. Yeah, I'm looking at the yield curve right now. It's kind of funky. Uh, I'd stick very short term because the silly part is I'm looking at 3 month CDs, which are paying, best one I'm seeing here is 4.01% APY. A high yield savings account is getting you 385. So you're talking 16 basis points more for the CD to tie your money up for 90 days where you have daily liquidity with the high yield savings account. If you go out to 6 month CDs, you're looking at 394. You're looking at 1 year at 390. At 1 year CDs, I'm getting the same thing in a high yield savings account. I'd much rather have it as a high yield savings account. Uh, you guys, I've mentioned on here before about where I'm not, I don't have anything in the bond market, anything in the CD market, the fixed income, if you will, that Mrs. P and I have are high dividend paying stocks. So, I mean, what do we own right now? Ford, Lyondell, Pfizer, Philip Morris, Ares Capital Corp. Uh, I can't remember the name of the damn thing. There's one real estate company. I can't think of the name of it. It's going blank. Now, give me a second. Da, da, da. Come on, almost there. Annaly Capital Management, and then Plains All American Pipeline. Okay, so I mean, I've got plastics and medicine, or Pfizer Pharmaceuticals. We've got automobiles. I've got real estate. I've got finance. I mean, I've got the diversification going in there. But the reason I've got all those, my combined yield on all of it is 8%. All right, so I'm getting double what you're getting out of a CD and growth potential out of any of them. Now, granted, I mean, the current yield, I've just got my spreadsheet up here. The current yield on Ford is 517. Okay, when I bought it, my yield is 634. The current yield on Philip Morris, for example, 630. Pfizer, 720. Uh, Ares Capital, 907. So I did a video showing you guys the stock screener here oh God, maybe about 3, 4 weeks ago to take a look at something like that. And okay, boring widows and orphans type things to own. That's what I'm looking for with stuff like that. That doesn't have a whole lot of volatility, maybe a little bit of growth out of it, but I'm getting a much better yield out of it to generate some income. And so, to answer your question, would I put any money into a CD right now? Me personally, no, because the yields are crap. I mean, you're barely keeping up with inflation on it. I'd rather own anything else because with where inflation is and getting 4%, yippee, you're not increasing your portfolio, your wealth at all. You're just running on a treadmill and going nowhere. Right. Seahorse Dreams. My chestnut trees in New Hampshire are loaded. Uh, now, and very possible, but did you have the cicadas this year? I mean, like I told you, we had cicadas out here that you were literally walking, like you're using your hand as a windshield wiper, beating them out of your face as we were walking around here. And so they just sucked all the life out of the trees. So our fruit trees, I mean, the plums, we got nothing this year. We got a couple of pears and most of the peaches. We didn't have any peach. I mean, we had peaches, but they all shriveled up because of the cicadas, because the cicadas sucked all the moisture out of the trees. Let's see. Do. Kevin Little, that they should put that assassin into Gen Pop, give the prisoners free reign. I think I was reading something today, and that chances are that won't happen. That he will probably wind up in solitary somewhere. So we'll see how that happens. Seriously, if this 22-year-old kid did this, then why was he this? Then why has he not confessed while in custody? You'd have to ask him that. Okay, maybe he thinks that he's going to get off on this or something like that. I mean, the when he was sentenced today, he didn't think he was going to get a death penalty case because you saw him. He was just looking stone faced. And then when they said the death penalty, and he just kind of not bowed his head, but looked down. So it's like, oh shit, this is real now. But you don't know how delusional this kid is, how poisoned his head is. Even his parents said up until a couple of years ago, he was your church going regular teenager, good kid. And then the media and college just, and his boyfriend, uh, just completely poisoned his mind. And, so now he, and I'm not trying to psychoanalyze the guy, but, I'm saying why he might not have, he may still believe he did a good thing. So, if he believes that, what does he care? But no, he's not confessing. Obviously somebody's told him. I mean, he in that, not manifesto, but the uh, instant message conversation he had with his roommate, you know, he even said, don't talk to anybody, just clam up and say you want a lawyer. So he hasn't confessed. Great. Okay. He doesn't have to. I mean, they don't need a confession to find him guilty. Uh, let's see. Peripheral EA, what's my take on the Nepal situation? Any news on the aftermath? I haven't been following it that close, uh, just because that's one that really doesn't affect us at all. Okay. Maybe it's somewhere that the that Congress is pissing away money to, but that's about it. Uh, but yeah, I mean, if they overthrow the government, they overthrow the government. And when they were, what was it? I think one of the things I saw, they were going to try to take away social media from the public or something like that. It was driving everybody nuts. You know, I I really don't have much of an opinion on it because it it's not one of those things that's important to me. And considering it's been going on for the last week, roughly, there's been another story I've been following a lot closer. So, yeah, I'm not overly concerned with Paul. Fastball. Growing up, my grandmother would boil chestnuts for us. They were awesome. How do you make them here in the South? Basically, freeze them first, and then when we've done them, I've just done the chestnuts roasting on an open fire up until it cracks open, and then you can peel it off and eat the nut inside. But I mean, nothing fancy. I mean, I know plenty of people make all sorts of stuff out of it. I mean, I just keep a few of them and we'll have a bonfire or something like that. And we'll just do it just for fun. It's not like I'm having, it's a Christmas tradition or something for me. So, Mrs. P and I are the only ones here for Christmas. PBJ comes when she can, so it's not like we've got this big family tradition that we got to do. We do a little bit of the Russian, a little bit of the Polish and Czech, and we kind of put together a semi-traditional Christmas meal. But again, as I've told you guys before, you got to remember that even in Russia, the gift day is New Year's. So there's a whole lot of you just kind of make it up as we go. So, let's see. Gigi's Garden. What do I think about Trump wanting to change financial reporting periods from 3 to 6 months for publicly traded companies? I saw this morning. This is another one that I do not agree with him at all. Uh, and you guys know me. I mean, I've said to you many times. If I disagree, I will say it. That has got to be one of the stupidest things I've heard. Because if I'm a shareholder in the company, I want to know what's going on in the company. And in 90 days, there's enough to do some shady shit. You give them 6 months, and man, they could be doing all sorts of crap for 5 months, and you don't even know what's going on. I mean, think of Bernie Madoff. Okay, remember him? The guy that scammed out people millions. Imagine now you get big companies that if they don't have to tell anybody what they're doing for 6 months, what they could get away with. Imagine if Congress didn't have to tell us what they were doing for 6 months. You know, no, I think that's ridiculous. The 3 months is fine. The companies need to be telling us what's going on. If they don't, then they're going to have a whole. Again, if they make it mandatory every 6 months, there's still going to be companies that are going to go. We want to have transparency with our shareholders, and those are the companies that are going to go that are going to get the uh, bulk of the investment because they're not hiding something. Because when you tell me that you're not going to tell me what's going on for 6 months, you could do it every three if you want, but you don't want to. So the first thought I get is you're hiding something. Von Mousetrap, Arena Zarutska suffered too, and nobody rendered aid. These judges need to lose their seats. No question, I agree with you there. It's stupid stuff. It's like you go out to Chili's or Applebee's or something like that, and they serve you too many beers, and you drive home drunk. That bartender's going to lose their job. But if a judge lets somebody go and driving home drunk and kill somebody, uh, the Chili's or Applebee's would have liability. The bartender's going to get fired. Why is it that when a judge lets somebody go, who you think a judge should probably have a little bit better, I don't know, common sense than a bartender? and I was a bartender. Why is it that the judge can let somebody out to go kill somebody and we don't do anything to the judge? Uh, It's politics. That's the problem with that. Too many judges are they've got a chip in the game. I forget what movie that was from, but you know, they've got something on somebody, and it's time that we have some oversight of some of these municipal judges and county judges and stuff, and go, no, sorry, you're not letting this guy go. Or if they do, then you start holding the judges accountable and go, you know what? If you let him go early and he does anything, you're going to be held liable for, I don't know, pick something, malpractice or whatever. And then all of a sudden the judge may go, you know what? Maybe I'm not going to let this guy go. And I know then you get the other side of the people. Well, no, there a whole bunch of things. And Monday morning quarterbacking is wonderful. Is what it is. All right, guys. I actually ran long. It's 9:01, so have a good evening. Jason's probably going on over at Angry Prepper, so have a good evening. We'll see you in the morning. Pinball out.